as Catherine was saying, that the title's a tongue twister, you can end up with your hands in knots in this. So we're going to start at the very beginning. We're going to break it down step by step, and hopefully, if you've had any issues with weaving, if you already know how, we'll sort those out. And if you've never woven before, if you've never weaved, I said woven. If you've never woven before, hopefully we'll get you off to a good start. So first of all, we're going to start with 3 bells, but before that, I want to tell you how I'm set up here. I actually have 5 bells here on my table, and I've labeled them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, when you're learning to weave, I recommend that you label your handle somehow, and you label the table. Labeling the table is actually really important so that you know where to put the bell back, because the number 1 mistake in weaving is putting the bell back in the wrong place. So I've also recently, my church bell choir, I've got some young people joining, and one of the members has dyscalculia. So while I was trying to use, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with her, she was getting confused as to sequences of numbers. So experiment, this is still new for me. I've decided to go with CYMK, which is cyan, yellow, magenta, and black. And so you can get like 100 hair ties from Amazon, which is what I did. And I have it in blue and yellow and magenta, that's the one, and black. And I also have one for white for when we go for 5 bells. And I also have another member of my bell choir who is colorblind. So for him, I use the black and the white, and I got some ribbon, white with black polka dots and black and white stripes. So hopefully we can cover everybody's needs for that. But I have like 1 and C on my cards for the table. So let's start with just 3 bells for now. So I'm going to put bells 4 and 5 over here on the side. And we're just going to deal with 1, 2, and 3, which if you're doing the color thing is cyan, yellow, and magenta. So the first thing about weaving is learning to let go. When I first learned to weave back in the 90s, I was fresh out of college. I couldn't afford a videotape machine to watch Christine Anderson's instructions on it. So instead I had her book, Songs for the Solar Ringer, her red book, which had a text instruction for how to weave. And it is very hard to teach yourself how to weave with text. So if you have my class notes, again, they're very detailed, but it is very hard to teach yourself to weave via text. At least it was for me. And the one thing I found the hardest thing to do was to put the bells down. And so in weaving, the thing to remember is that the bells live on the table. You pick them up when you need them, you put them down when you don't. Usually when you're weaving, you damp on the table because the bells live on the table, not in your hands, not at your shoulder, but on the table. Okay, so let's just do a simple, like to call it a pre-weave exercise. In this case, it's basically learning how to let your hand let go. So we're going to start with bell number 1 in the left hand and bell number 2 in the right hand. And for this exercise, bell number 1 will be put down and let go, but bell number 2 will stay in our hand. Like I said, this is a pre-weave. So the first thing we do is that we ring bell number 1 right over its home position. And then we get ready to ring number 2. I'm gonna shut that sound off just so you can actually hear me speak. But if your bell's still ringing, that's fine too. Then I'm going to ring bell number 2, and as I ring it, I'm going to put bell number 1 down where it goes, and then move my body and my arms so I can pick up bell number 3. It's going to look like this. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go back down. 2, 1. Now a couple things to notice. If you ended up with your bell number 1 in number 2 space, if you did this, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. That may be fine for some applications, but if you're actually going to put 2 back down where it belongs, that's going to be a problem because bell number 1 is in there. So notice that as I put bell number 1 down, I let it hover over its home spot. See how my arm came away from my body, my elbow is away from my body. When I ring number 2, then I can just pick up bell number 3 with that hand. And because I'm not going any further, I don't need to make any more movements until I come back down here and put number 2 down and number 1 down. So let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 in this tempo. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So that was starting with the left hand, and our right hand didn't have to do any moving around. It just held that bell right against our shoulder. So now let's do it starting with bell number 3 in our right hand. So bell number 2 now is going to be in our left hand, and it's going to dampen our shoulder. Bell number 1, bell number 3, we're going to pick up and ring over its home space. We're basically going to do the same thing, only the other hand. So we're going to ring bell number 3 over its home space. And then I'm just shutting that off so you can hear me. As we put the bell down to damp it and get ready to ring bell number 2, notice how my elbow is coming away from my body, so bell number 3 can go back where it lives. Okay, and then that hand lets go and picks up bell number 1, rings it over its home position. We put it back down, ring number 2, move our bodies over here to pick up bell number 3, and there we are. Again, notice how when I was putting bell number 3 down, how my elbow came away from my body. If I had kept my elbow next to my body, then I go to put it down, it's in the wrong place. So we need to put it back down in its own home position. Let's do that again. Here's our tempo. 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, ready, go. 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. And then they're all back home where they belong. So, okay, so we did 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, starting with our left hand. And we did 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, starting with our right hand. But what happens if we start with bell number 1 in our right hand? So for this exercise, we're going to pick up bell number 2, and it's going to live at our shoulder for this exercise. We're going to pick up bell number 1 in our right hand instead. Now we have to make bigger movements, because let me just show you what it's going to actually look like. Now this is the end of my table here, so if you're at a regular bell table, your table might extend further. Mine does not, because I'm in my bedroom. So I'm all the way over here at the edge of this. If there was a bell 0, it would be directly in front of me. So bell number 1 in our right hand. Let's do that again. Bell number 1 in the right hand. Bell number 2, and we let go of that and move over here to pick up 3. And here's where our elbow comes away from our bodies to pick up bell number 1. Okay, so in this one, when I moved from 1 to 3, I didn't have to worry about my arm coming away from my body. But when I moved from 3 to 1, I did. In general, when the bell is in the hand in the opposite direction from your moving, so if it's in your right hand and you're moving to the left, your elbow has to come away from your body so you can put it down. Just like we did for bell number 1, I was moving to the right so I could pick up bell number 3, and bell number 1, my elbow had to come away from my body to pick that up. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, starting in the right hand in tempo. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now let's do the same thing in the opposite direction, starting with bell number 3 in our left hand, and bell number 2 is going to be in our right hand. Notice that I am starting with my left hand directly in front of bell number 3's home position. I'm not starting over here and twisting. One of the big keys of weaving is to move your body. We'll get into that in a second. Let me just get through this. So we're going to go 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, starting on the left hand in this tempo. 2, ready, and 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then it lives on the table. So if you're watching me, you will have noticed that the body has to move a lot when you're weaving. So you can twist. It's not necessarily ergonomically sound to twist your spine when doing that and pick up weights, but also it can cause the bells to clank as you're passing them in midair when you're doing this. And so it's really better to move your entire body left to right. So in Sue Berry's Healthy Ringing, she's got this section on weaving. Again, it's a text, learning to weave by text. But she likens the footwork necessary to a dance step. In this case, step, touch. So you can't see my feet, so I'm going to pretend my hands are my feet when I do it with my feet as well. So we're going to step with our left foot, bring our right foot next to it again. And then the other direction, step, touch, touch. And you can do that for a number of beats all in a row. So here we go. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream and run merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. Touch. So that's foundational to weaving. And one thing I sometimes do as a soloist when I get to the end of my table and I've got to pick up a bell over here, I will sometimes do this whole little grapevine step where I put my other foot behind me. That we're gonna call that advanced weaving. We're not there yet. But if you've ever taken any aerobics classes, you'll know what I mean by a grapevine step. Okay, so we've done 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, starting with the left hand and with the right hand, and 3, 2, 1, 2, 3 with the right hand and the left hand. Does anybody have any questions so far? I'm on the opposite side of the room from my computer. I saw that there were a couple of things pop up, but I couldn't read them from here. So, Catherine, are there any questions?
Not so far. I think we're good. I just wanted to make sure everybody could see you well, so that's what we were chiming in on.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. So now that we've done this pre-weave exercise where one of the bells was damped at our shoulder, we didn't have to put it down. Now let's work on putting both of the bells down and doing a proper weave. So by proper, I just mean a real weave, not a pre-weave. In this case, we're going to ring 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So there's going to be a turnaround spot in the middle. I will step through it slowly so we can work on this together. So we're going to start with our left hand, with bell number 1 in our left hand, bell number 2 in our right hand. Now, the first part of it is going to end up exactly the same as we started with 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, but we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, and then do something else. So just like before, we ring bell number 1 over its home position, and then we take a step. I'm going to shut that off so you can hear me. Then I'm going to take a step to the right and put 1 back where it goes while I ring bell number 2 all at the same time, like this. Okay, and then here's where a step touch comes in, because as I bring my foot closer to me in my hand here, I can pick up bell number 3. But now, instead of just damping 2 on my shoulder, I'm going to take a large step back to my left so that I can damp 2 in its home position. It's going to look like this as I ring number 3. Notice that I ring bell number 3 to the left of the home position of bell number 1, and that's on purpose because bell number 1 is now in front of my right hand, which is where it needs to be, so I can pick it up. So as I pick this one up and get ready to ring it, I have to damp bell number 3 in its home position, which is way over there. So I have to make another large step off to the right, like this. Okay, now notice that I moved far enough so that my left shoulder is in front of bell number 3's home position so I can put it back down. And then I rang bell number 1. Now, with bell number 1 ringing, because I just shut it off so you could hear me, pretend it's still ringing, I now can take a smaller step to my left to pick up bell number 2, or actually, I need to put bell number 1 back in its home position, so I'm going to take a large step to my left, but pick up bell number 2 on the way, like this. Okay, so all of that has to happen together on the beat. And notice that I put bell number 1 back in its home position. I let go of it, but now I need to ring bell number 3, so I need to move my body to the right so I can pick up bell number 3 and ring it and damp it in its home position. My bells are still in order, 1, 2, 3, and this is why it's called weaving, because it looks like this. First time I ever saw, I think it was Christine Anderson in concert. Man, she is the weaving queen. The first time I ever saw her do it, you're watching it, you're like going step by step in the video, trying to figure out what is she actually doing. It's hard to explain, but once you get the rhythm down, it's okay. So now let's do this one in one fluid motion, not necessarily to tempo. I'm going to do it very slowly so you can see what we're doing, but I'm not going to damp between the notes. So here we go. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Pick up 1 and 2. Oh, sorry. I was going to do 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Never mind. Rewind. We're going to start again. Here we go. 1. Okay, so notice that I am ringing straight forward. I'm not trying to ring at any angle and I'm also making sure my elbows come away from my body when they need to. So let's do that same thing again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, starting on the left hand. Now, sometimes when I'm teaching and people are having trouble getting them in the where they belong, getting out of their own way, I will have them ring out to the side. So that would look like this. And what that does is it gets you out of your own way. Your arms aren't here. You're not trying to figure out where you're going next. You know that if you're ringing with your left hand, you're taking a step to your left. If you're ringing with your right hand, you're taking a step to the right. So let me do that again. Like that. Now, obviously, you don't necessarily want to ring like that if you're just ringing like your D and E 5 part in the middle, because you've got people on next to you. You don't want to whap them. So that's just a learning technique. It's just a way to get that feeling into your body. And as you become more comfortable getting the bells where they belong, when you put them back down, you can bring that back in and ring straight ahead. Sometimes when I'm teaching a person face to face, I will stand on one side and we will do that exercise together. I will mirror them. So now let's do it straight forward again. Let's see if we can do it in a tempo. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Down and we let go. Okay, so that was starting in our left hand. So now we're going to start in our right hand on bell number 3. So we're going to go 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. It's exactly the same, just in the opposite hands. Again, bell number 3 and bell number 2. 3 is in the right hand, 2 is in the left hand. And we ring 3 over its home position while we're taking a step. While we get ready to ring bell number 2, we're taking the step over so we can pick up bell number 1. Again, like this. 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so if you're new to weaving, give yourself permission to make mistakes. That I have found is the biggest hurdle to learning, is that we as adults, we expect to do everything perfectly the first time. Give yourself permission to make mistakes. You're learning a new skill. It takes time. So let's do this again. We're going to do a 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, and this time I'm going to actually tell you everything that I'm doing. Again, 3 in the right hand, 2 in the left hand. I'm going to ring 3 over its home position. Now, as I prepare to damp, I'm going to shut it off. As I prepare to damp it and ring bell number 2, I'm going to take a large step to my left and put 3 down. And at the same moment that 2 rings, 3 is going to damp. Okay, so now my hand is free to pick up bell number 1, but I've got to get back over there so I can put 2 down where it goes. So I took that big step. I'm going to pick up 3. Now I have to take a big step back over there so I can put 1 back where it goes. But I'm here where I can pick up 2 on my way to damp number 3. And then on my way I can pick up 1. Easy peasy, right? Okay. So now let's do that in a tempo. 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, starting in the right hand. 1, 2, ready, go. 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Just like that, and they all go back home where they belong. Again, let's do that with the ringing out to the side, so you get out of your own way, just to demonstrate that. Same thing. 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Did you see me hesitate in the middle? It's because I doubted myself. So I was like, oh no, do I have the right bell in my hand? I did. So another thing to do is to give yourself permission to doubt yourself, but push through that doubt and do it anyway. So we've done 3, 2, 1 with the right hand. Now let's do 3, 2, 1 with the left hand. So we're going to pick up bell number 3 in our left hand, bell number 2 in our right hand, but I'm going to start with my left arm in front of bell number 3's home position. That's super important. So again, it's just like we did it with the other hand. Ring bell number 3. Take a big step as we get ready to ring bell number 2. But notice bell number 2 rings to the right of bell number 3's home position. And this is when we're taking the step to get number 1. Okay, let go of 2. We're going to pick up 3. Did I do that with the right hand? I did not do that with the correct hand. This is me doubting myself again. Let me do it again. 3 in the left hand, 2 in the right hand. 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. So the first time through, I don't know if you noticed this, the first time through, when you go 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, I started in my left hand, so I went left, right, left, right, left, right. Just like when we did, starting with the left hand from number 1, it went left, right, left, right, left, right. So let's do that again. That's why I hesitated in the middle, because I was like, I'm going to pick bell number 3 with my right hand, but I'm supposed to. So one more time from the left hand. 3, 2 in the right hand, 1 in the left hand. Now it's easy to get to 3 here. 3 in the right hand, 2 in the left hand, 1 in the right hand, and then back to its home position. Okay. So are there any questions so far with this? Because we're going to add more bells next. Okay, let's move on then. My own little notes here. So now we're going to ring 4 bells, and 4 happens to be the one I have with a black handle right here. So I'm going to put number 4, the label, table label for number 4, right where it goes. I'm just going to ignore bell number 5 for now. So when we went to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, notice we had to make that big step back. No matter which direction we're going, we had to take 2 big steps so that we could get back to where we needed to be. This time we don't necessarily have to do that until we're going to turn around from 4 to 1, and then it can be an even bigger step. But for now, let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4, starting with the left hand. And then we're going to go back 3, 2, 1. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, starting with the left hand. So here we go. Bell number 1 in the left hand over its home position. As you get ready to ring number 2, you take a big step to the right. And then while bell number 1 is descending to the table and your body is moving and your elbows coming away from your body, you're going to get ready to ring number 2 like this. Okay? And then your left hand is free to pick up bell number 3, and you got to take a step back so you can put 2 back where it belongs like this. Just like before, notice that 3 rings to the left of number 1's home position. But now you've got this hand free to go pick up bell number 4. And we put 3, 2, 1, 3 back where it belongs. Except now we're going to ring 3 again, so we really could have shoulder damped it. And then we just do the same thing in reverse. 3, 2, 1. Now let's do that with me shoulder damping bell number 3, because I could shoulder damp it because I don't have to put it down, because I'm going to ring it again next. So that will look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 shoulder damps, 3, 2, 1. And again, if you're going to ring out to your sides, which really does help with the footwork, if you're just learning this as a new skill, it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. Notice how I paired it in just a little bit there. I did 4 and 1 ringing forward because they were right over their home position and they could stay there. But I still did 2 and 3 out to the side. So that's an example of how you would pair that back as your learning progresses. So now we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're still going to start with the left hand. So left hand is bell number 1, right hand is bell number 2. We ring bell number 1 over its home position. And then as we prepare to ring bell number 2, it's going to ring to the right of bell number 3's home position, but bell number 1 is going to go back where it lives and not where number 2 lives. And our left shoulder is now over bell number 3, which we pick up and take the step back so that we can damp number 2 where it goes. I could bring this forward, sorry, stuck in my teaching mode there. And then we can take a step back and pick up bell number 4. Now we're table damping 3 because we're not ringing it again. We're going to ring bell number 1. Now this part's easy because notice we go back and we pick that up with our right hand, our left hand again. And 4, again, our elbow came away from our body. So we can put 4 where it goes. And number 1 here. 2, 3, 4. Now I said it was easy because we only had to, notice how we went left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, instead of going left, right, left, right, left, right. So I hope you can tell your left hand from your right hand, because that's a lot of all that jumbled together. But let's do that again, smoothly, without any breaks between. So go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that was starting on the left hand. Now let's do 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, starting on the right hand. So it'll go right, left, and then the same thing, right, left, right, left. It's the same thing twice. Here we go. 4 is in the right hand, 3 is in the left hand. 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then they live on the table, not in your hands. Okay, that's all well and good because we noticed our next bell was the next, we didn't have to cross hands or take any really large steps. So now let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, starting in the right hand. So it's going to go right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, because when you do an even number of bells, your handing stays the same both cycles through. So bell number 1 is in our right hand. Bell number 2 will be in our left hand. So here we go. Bell number 1 rings over its home position. As it descends to the table to damp, we get ready to ring bell number 2. But this time I'm not going to take that giant step for number 3 until after I ring 2. Otherwise, I'm going to be doing this, and I don't necessarily want to do that. So ringing 2, picking up 3 as I get there to ring 2 where it goes. And then now here's where I have to take the big step to the left, because I'm going to ring 4, but the bell I ring after that is number 1. So it will look like this. 4. You didn't see me not put that right back where it goes, right? And then 4. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. I got preoccupied describing what I was doing and got 3 out of order. Like I said, give yourself permission to make mistakes. It's part of the learning process. But let's do it again. And this time I won't talk, and hopefully I'll do it correctly. Here we go. Bell number 1's in the right hand. Bell number 2 is in the left. Like that. Again, there are some larger steps when you're doing when you're taking a leap with 2 bells between them. It's even larger steps than when there's only 1 bell between. So now that we've done 1, 2, 3, 4 starting on the right hand, let's do 4, 3, 2, 1 starting on the left hand. It's the same, just in the other hand. So bell number 4 is in the left hand. Bell number 3 is in the right hand. Now notice I'm standing so that my left hand is directly over bell number 4's home position. So I'm going to ring bell number 4 over its position. And then as I put it down, I'm getting ready to ring bell number 3. Taking the step over here to pick up 2. And I'm ringing 2 to the left of bell number 1's position. And then I ring bell number 1. I ultimately want to ring it over here to the right of bell number 4's position. Picking 4 up, taking it all the way back over here. Rings to the left of bell number 1. And then, which way did 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1? Yes. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now let's do that without me talking. Starting on the left hand. Okay, so that was with 4. One thing I want to point out, notice that I am still ringing with my bell vertical. I'm not ringing it into the table. I'm not slapping it down. So that's another thing. When you're learning how to do something, do it slowly, get yourself out of your own way, and make sure you maintain proper technique. Because people can try to do weaving so fast that they're slapping the bells on the table or letting them go and letting them drop and doing unintentional martellados and things like that. Give yourself enough practice time to learn how to do it without having to think about it so much that you're skipping steps in the brain work. Okay, so are there any questions so far? I can't see any messages that pop up on my screen because it's like 10 feet away from me.
No questions so far, but we had someone who made a great comment and said, let me move this down because now we're popping in, which is great. I'm just saying that the shifting the feet side to side gets overlooked because ringers don't want to move. So how do you, maybe I'll throw in a question, how do you encourage people to make sure that they are moving when we tend to just want to plant?
We do tend to want to plant, but bells is a physical instrument. You need to use your whole body. Even when I'm teaching just basic ringing, like you've never held a handbell in your hand the first time, you start with the stance. So we call them handbells, but our feet are very important. So as you just need to basically make yourself move, because if you don't make yourself move, you're going to get all twisted here. They're not going to end up where they go, and worse, you can hurt yourself. Because if you're trying to like ring like this, like I've seen some people try to do, like
Right.
some of my own ringers were like, okay, let's have a weaving class because that wasn't right. You can not only hurt yourself, you can also hurt the bells. So you must move. I know we're reluctant, especially us adults. You just got to make yourself do it. Other than me strapping a rope around your waist and dragging you to the right direction, I'm not sure there's any way to just make it happen. But if you want to be successful at weaving, which you should because it's a foundational skill, then you have to move your feet.
Absolutely. Michelle, we do have a quick question. Someone would
Yay.
like for you to please demonstrate what you just did at a faster tempo.
I can do that. Okay. So for that, I will probably not pick up the bells quite so far, but I will still get them vertical. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 at a faster tempo. Here we go. Like that. Now let's do it with the other hand, which is starting with the left hand. Like that. So I didn't bring them out here. I kept them right over their spot, but I was still vertical. So because you know how the sound comes off, it's not a flashlight or a megaphone.
Yeah, someone said so. Thank you. So the trick is to bring the bell so high.
Yes. So as with everything, the faster you go, the smaller your movement has to be. Now, those of you who've seen me ring know that I do finger damping, and so I'm not trying to do really fast punches out here, but I can do them out here, and because I'm finger damping, I'm still making small movements. I'm not, doing these large things when I've got fast movements. And that's not only helps you maintain less tension in your body as you're ringing, but also has an oral component, because if you've got them out here and you're ringing fast with these big motions when you're ringing fast notes, you're going to hear that orally because the bells are directional. So you're going to hear wah, 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 rather than just straight tones. So that's something to keep in mind. When I was learning how to do solo ringing, in my practicing, I would videotape myself. And then I would watch it with the sound off to see how it looked. And then watch it with the video off, but just listening to the sound to see how it sounded. Because both components are important. Okay.
That's a great suggestion. And what you're currently using, what it looks like fives?
Yes, I've got F, G, A, B flat, and C, because I'm going to be pulling in a fifth bell.
So someone made a comment, maybe start with people on larger bells for practice because the sixes are so small and light. Would you agree with that?
I would. I chose these. I have, from G4 to C8 out there in the other room. I could have chosen any octaves, but I like to do it on the fives because they give you just enough weight to know that you've got something in your hand, but not so big that they're impeding your movements when you're first learning. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. And also the sixes and sevens. I mean, if you're pressed for space, I've got a 3-foot table here. Let's say I only had 1.5 feet. I might do it with sixes. But then I wouldn't have to make such big movements. And especially when learning, I want your movements to be bigger. That's about the whole thing with ringing out to the side, to exaggerate the motions so that we get the movements and you're not tripping over yourself. I think trying to learn with smaller bells in a smaller space, you can end up tripping over yourself. So even if I were using sixes or sevens, I would space them out larger, just for teaching and learning. I keep thinking little things pop up, but
yes. Let's see. Someone just posted. I'm not sure what they mean. It is changes not in scale that give me trouble. Maida is posting that. Could you elaborate a little bit more so we can try to answer that question?
Do you mean ringing them in not in succession, not in sequence, but in skipping around and such?
Maybe that could be what
We'll get to that.
Great. And someone posted, also consider the quote out of order bell ringing. Apparently PL does that. I'm sure you
Hmm.
guys have talked about that. It can make for a smoother passage run, utilizes the weaving technique, but can cut down on reaching or stepping so far over to either
Abs-
side, especially useful for base bells. Do you
Absolutely.
agree with that
So
assessment?
I do. So what I'm going to do just to demonstrate that is I'm going to flip bells number 2 and 3, which means I have to change my cards and my colors. So in that scenario, you don't have to take your steps don't have to be so big because we're bringing bell number 1, but 2 is now here, and you don't have to step very far to get to 3, which is here, and you can pretty much stay in that same position to get to 4, and then 3, 2, 1. And that's a great suggestion. I'm all for doing what saves labor. Labor saving in bell ringing is huge. If that makes more sense, heck, I would even do some four in hand. I mean, traveling four in hand. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. So I mean, there's all kinds of ways to save labor. I think, however, there's also value in learning how to do it without that, because you're not necessarily going to always have the luxury of being able to put them in the order that you want to put them in, if that makes any sense. Because as a song progresses, different things happen, and the bells need to go where they need to go for that moment in the song and for what's coming next. So if you have the luxury of being able to put them out of order for ringing them in sequence or whatever you do, then great, absolutely do that. But I still think you need to know how to do the weaving, the twist, the hands going crazy for weaving, just because you're not always going to have that ideal situation. And also because even though you may intend to put them out of order on purpose, sometimes you don't. It's just like how sometimes you intend for them to be in order and they're not. So part of knowing how to do everything is disaster recovery. Because if that bell isn't where you expect it to be, maybe your neighbor had it and didn't put it back where you expected it to go. Being able to do more things is about having more tools in your toolkit. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. And just to let you know, I think you said you're going to address this in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Maida did confirm, that she has trouble with weaving when it's not scalular, but it is
Yep.
still weaving.
Yep. We'll be doing that. Let me just pull in my 5th bell first, and then go through ringing 5 bells up and down, and then we will, because my card number 3 is bells in different sequences. Yay!
Perfect. Thank you, Michelle.
Sure. And when I'm in a irregular classroom with a flip chart or a whiteboard, I will actually ask the class to give me numbers. So we'll just create random sequences, and you can have, like, if you're working with 4 bells, you can get on your phone random number generators for however many digits you need, and then you can just practice doing them in that way. Because at the end of the day, there is no substitute for slow and steady practice. Again, give yourself permission to make mistakes, but also be aware of what happened. Analyze what happened in your mistake so that you can do it without that mistake next time. So, okay, here we go. I now have F5 through C6 in an F major chord scale. So I've got F, G, A, B flat, C. My C is my white one if you're going with the colors. So I've got C, Y, M, K, W, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if you can do numbers. So again, it starts out very much the same. And actually, the more bells you have ringing in sequence, the easier it becomes, I think. So let's see if you agree. We're going to start with bell number 1 in our left hand, bell number 2 in our right hand. Ring bell number 1 over its home position. Again, just like we did before, we're going to take a step and ring bell number 2 over the home position of bell number 4. And notice my elbow came away from my body, so I can damp 1 in its home position. And then I pick up 3 and take a step back here, so I can put 2 down where it goes. Bell number 3 to the left of bell number 1 in the air. Take the step back so I can pick up bell number 4. And this time, again, damping 3 where it goes when I rang 4, which is to the right of its home position. I'm not going to go back to the left. I'm actually going to continue going this way to pick up bell number 5 in my left position, and then 4. I'm sorry, ring it and then put it down, but I put 4 down where it goes. So I just rang 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what if I want to repeat, go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, 4 would damp at the shoulder instead of at the table. And that actually is labor saving, because why put it down when you just need to ring it again right away? So that one looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I stay in position because I'm going to damp 4 on my shoulder. 5, and then 5 just goes right back down where I got it, where I ring number 4 here. 3, 2, 1, and down. And that was starting on the left hand. I'm kind of cutting some steps now because this is all just building on what we've already done. I'm going to start with bell number 1 in my right hand. So go 1, ringing to the right of bell number 2's home position. Pick up 2, ring it to the left of bell number 1's position. As I travel over here to pick up 3, 3 rings to the right of bell number 4's position. Put it down where it goes. 4 rings to the left of number 2's position. Take a step to ring bell number 5 in the right hand, and I'm going to damp 4 on my shoulder. And then 4, 3, 2, 1. And then notice I take a step back so I can put 1 back where it goes. That's just because I'm assuming that in a musical setting I would be doing something else from there, and I want to make sure 1 goes back where it goes. There's also a thing you can do which makes that a little easier. In addition to setting the bells in different orders, you can also displace them as you go. So for this one, I'm going to move my papers because they're going to be in the way. I'm going to displace probably bell number 3. Let's see if I can make that happen. 1, 2, 3. Nope. Okay, so time out. When we get to doing them out of sequence, I will show you displacement. Let me just write myself a note here. Okay, that will give myself the note to do that. So, sorry, you got me thinking with the putting them out of order that I could do displacement, but I can, but first I have to do this other bit. So, we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, starting in the left hand. Let's do it from the right hand now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now that we've done 5 bells, there's a little bit, we're actually at a spot where we can do a little bit of fun. So for that one, I actually need a 6th bell, which is way over here off scene, but I'm just gonna put it there because you'll see why. So for this time, I'm going to ring 1, 1, 5, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. See if you recognize it. 1, 1, 1, 5, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now at this point, what I could do, because my next note to ring is what? 5. I could take this wide step over here and switch up to 5, or I could pass 1 to the other hand, so that I don't have to take such a giant step. Weaving is best when used in conjunction with displacement, with 4 in hand, and with passing hand to hand. So in this case, I'll just put 1 back in its position while I ring 5. Weaving. Again, no big step, because we'll go back to 5. 3, 2. Now here, I would pass 2 to my right hand, go 1, 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So actually this did show a little bit of displacement because notice I have 5 up there instead of over here. I mean, that's necessity because my table isn't quite that big, but having 6 up there is a example of where I didn't have to take that large step over. But so notice that I did 2 passes in the middle of that. In classes face-to-face where we're putting up random numbers, we also take a look to see where does passing it from hand to hand make sense. Now, theoretically, you could ring a scale. I mean, you could do that theoretically, but that is not, it's not necessarily saving you any labor. I think that's harder and slows you down than just learning how to weave and doing it with weaving. But anyway, now let's ring some things out of order. I wrote a few sequences myself, so, but I would invite you to just put a string of say 8 numbers in the chat using 1 through 5. So here's what I've got. Actually, I'm only using 4 for the first 2. I'm going to ring 2, 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 3, starting on the left hand. So it will go 2, 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 3. So there wasn't any spot in that I felt like I absolutely had to pass. I could still weave. That was starting it on the left hand, because notice 2 was here and 4 was here. So it started pretty naturally like that. But what happens if I start it with my right hand? Same sequence of numbers. 2, 4, 3, 1. Here, this one's easier. 4, 2, 1, 3. So that's just a random sequence of numbers. And I do recommend that you get yourself a number generator to put out different sequences, and then practice it starting on both hands. Figure out where it makes sense to pass, figure out where it makes sense to not pass, and do you have time to pass in a real world setting. So my next sequence that I wrote down myself about a couple of hours ago, 4, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 2, 3, starting on the left hand. So here's 4, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 2, 3. I only had to make one larger step. Starting on the left hand was going from 4 to 1. The rest of them were just smaller steps right in the middle. But what happens if we start with the right hand? 4, 1, 3, 2, 1. Here's my big step to 4. Big step to put 1 back down. 4, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm really curious if anybody's put any numbers in the chat.
Are you using numbers with 5s in them?
Yes, you can do 5.
Okay,
that's good.
So we do have
on the
one.
table.
Great, so we have one. You ready for it?
I'm ready. Let me write it down.
Yes, great. So the order written is 7 numbers, and it starts with 3, 2, 5, 1, 4, 5, 2.
Okay, 3, 2, 5, 1, 4, 5, 2. All right, I'm going to start that on the right hand, and the reason I'm going to start that on the right hand is because thinking it through my head, it goes 3, 2, 5, 1. Those are all just right, left, very easy there. And then I've got 4, 5, 2. So at the end is where I have to take some bigger steps. So here we go. 3, 2, 5, 1, 4 large steps so I can get to 5, 5 large steps so I can get to 2, 2. And I kind of want to go to 1 again just to finish the thought, musical thought. So that was starting on the right hand. What happens if I start on the left hand? Let's do that same sequence. 3, 2, big step to get to 5, big step to get down to 1, big step to get back to 4. I'm sorry, this is 1. I went to 1. Here's 4, and then 5, and then 2. Let me do that again, starting on the right hand. Did it? No, it was the left hand. Starting on the left hand. 3, 2, 5, 1, 4, 5, 2. So if I were going to do that starting on the right hand, as I did the first time, but I've got those 2 big leaps in the middle, what happens if I pass instead of leap? So starting on the right hand, 3, 2, 5, 1, 4, pass, 5, 2. So suddenly it becomes a lot easier. Let's do that again. 3, 2, 5, 1, 4, 5, 2. Now, when we did it starting on the other hand, there were a couple of large leaps. So let's see what happens if we start on the left hand. 3, 2, I'm going to pass so I can get to 5. 1, 4, 5, 2. So notice that I just made that one extra pass in the middle, and then it was the same as I did before with the same passes. So keep in mind weaving, passing, displacement, which we'll get to, and traveling forehand, which we won't get to in this class, can all work together to save you a lot of labor. Okay, what's my next sequence?
Yes, great. And just letting you know, we have about 5, 6 minutes left. But here's
Oh,
our next sequence. It's a little
okay.
bit longer.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
6, 1, 4, 2.
Hey, there's a 6. What? That's all right.
Oh,
That's all right. That's right. 6, 1, 4, 2.
1, 3, 6, 2, 4, 5.
6, 1, 4, 2, 1, 3, 6, 2, 4, 5. Okay. So let me get my number 6 over here on the table. Again, if I was in a longer table, he would live here, but I'm just going to make him live up there, which may affect how we do things. So let's see what happens. I'm going to start with 6 in the right hand because then my left hand gets to 1. So here's 6, 1, 4, 2, 1, 3, 6, 2, 4, 5. Okay, so I didn't really feel like there were many of them where I actually had to pass, but that's what 6 displaced. If it was up here, that might make a little bit of a difference. But if I was going to start that in the other hand, I would probably displace my number 6 over here. So then it would go 6, 1, 4, 2, 1, 3, 6, 2, 4, 5. Again, if I had the D over here where it was before, that might make a difference. Before we do anything else, I want to talk about displacing just in general. Displacement really comes in handy if you have skips. So for example, if I ring 1, 3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it will actually make sense for me to displace the 3 above the 5. So I'd ring the 1, ring the 3, put it up here, and then ring 5, 4, pick up number 3, 3, 2, 1. So let's do that again. 1, 3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One of the beautiful things about bells is that you can move them into different places. One of the curses of bells is that they can move to different places. So it's a blessing and a curse, because sometimes you move it up there and you're like, oh gosh, the next time I need it, it's down here. So you can do placement, but think about where you need to end up. That's another big thing, is whenever you're weaving or passing or traveling four-in-hand or any of those things, think about where you need to end up, what you need to do after this sequence, because that will very often determine what hands you want to end up on, and so what hands you start on, and whether you include a pass or not.
And that's
Okay.
perfect, because someone just posted about that. Do you plan ahead in the music to figure out which hand you will start or end with?
Absolutely, positively. Especially as a solo, if I'm trying to play a whole melody without, just distinct notes here and there, but actually to put it all together, I definitely want to save as much labor as possible so I can put my energy into the music, the musicality, and remaining tension free as I'm ringing. So you absolutely have to have a plan. That said, if you practice enough with random things like I was suggesting to do here, you can develop a library of moves in your head, so that even if you're sight reading, you can see, oh well, this does this, I know I need to do this thing. It's like piano players learning to play the Hanon and scales. You learn to do all those different things, so that's a library that your brain goes, oh, that's just this. So try to develop that in terms of ringing bells as well. Nancy Haskell, gosh, I miss her so much. Nancy Haskell was a pianist originally, and she took the Hanon exercises and reconfigured them for solo handbells, usually traveling four-in-hand. And it just makes such a world of difference when you have that library of moves in your head that you don't even need to think about at some point, because your brain just knows what to do and what to go. It's like playing piano by sight. You see the patterns and you do it. And it would be great if we could all get to be that way with bells as well. It's aspirational. Anything else?
Yes, we've got one more real quick. We've got about 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Does the step get reduced to a shuffle, say, for smaller bells and or for speed?
Absolutely, especially for smaller bells. I mentioned earlier that sometimes when I get to the end here, I do a little grapevine step, and as I'm ringing bell number 2 over here, 1 is here, but my feet are actually crossed. My right foot is back over there, my left foot is here, and that's just something that I developed on myself years and years ago, just so I didn't have to keep making steps over this way. I have seen, what you want to avoid is this whole little hoppy thing that so it's nice and fluid. So your feet, yes, can shuffle. You don't need to like pick them all the way up to your knees like you do in marching band we did in my marching band anyway. And so you can shuffle them and everything, and you can make your steps different. This is, again, just a framework for a foundational exercise. And as with anything, once you have the foundations locked in, then you can play with variations to them. You can't break the rules knowledgeably unless you know what the rules are. And sometimes the rules are there for a purpose because they provide a good foundation, and then you can make changes to suit your own body, your own musical needs. So, I hope I answered that question.
Yes. Oh, I think for sure, at least for me. Well, this is about the end of our session. So if you have any last minute questions, we are right here at our ending time. So get them in real quick if you have pressing questions. If not, I do believe, yes, Michelle has contact information possibly on your sheet.
Yes.
And so if you have any other pressing questions, maybe she could answer them later.
I am happy to talk about bells until the cows come home. So, I mean, I'm a total handbell nerd. So if you ever have any questions, you can just email. It doesn't matter how small the question is. Just email it to me. I can talk forever about bells.
That's
Those
right.
of you who know me in person know that's true.
That's right. Well, I don't see any other questions, but lots of thank yous and appreciation to you, Michelle. So thank you so much for your amazing teaching, so methodical and so clear. And the visuals are just, wonderful between the colors and the numbers too. You just think of all of those possibilities. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Enjoy the rest of the workshop.
Thank you so much. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.